Greetings everybody who's watching this video today. My name is Priya Sachdev. I am the Sales Vice President with the Hyman Group in the APAC region based out of India. A quick background about myself. I've been in sales, specifically in the B2B or what we call as complex sales environments for the past 25 years now. So targets for many quarters and quarters and quarters. Some good, some not so good, but then that's part of the sales life. Excited to be able to share some conversations with you today. And while we were having a discussion with the team, I thought it would be really befitting to talk today about having conversations with our clients, specifically in this digital economy, where we're all struggling with getting time with the clients to create that engagement. And on the other hand, we are many platforms available to us today, and we're struggling to see which one to use where. So in these few minutes that we share together, I do hope I'm able to bring to you some best practices we've heard our clients look at, or some research data that we as the Hyman Group have brought out through multiple conversations and discussions in projects with our clients. I will also pick few concepts from our own intellectual property and talk to you about that. I chose to do this more as a video conversation rather than running a PowerPoint. So for all of you who are looking for some visual simulation there, I'm sorry I don't have a PowerPoint I'm going to play because I just think conversations are more interesting when we can see people and actually have the expressions talk to us rather than just running a PowerPoint. So if you see me look down, I'm looking at a sheet of paper. I have some scribbled notes to ensure that I cover all the points I have. So sorry for that little bit of cheating that I am going to do in this call. Many years ago, when I went through my first formal sales training program, and that I think was about 18, 20 years ago, we had this definition of sales, which said sales is an art and science of persuasion, which is to influence people to buy our products and solutions. And if we were to think about that, has this definition of sales changed, or is it still the same? My sense and my perspective is it's changed around a bit. Today, if I were to define sales, I would say it is the science and art. I think we are now looking at it more as a science than we ever did before. And the reason is because we just have so much more information and data available to us that we can actually have a structure around what we're doing. So more science than art. And it is the science and art of providing insights and enabling more value or revenue generating conversations with our clients. So gone are the days where a seller went to a buyer trying to sell something. But now are the days where we're having joint conversations. We're creating and co-creating proposals and solutions, because we're no more in that world where I can say that I've been here before, I know what I'm talking about. No, I haven't been here before. But I am willing to take that journey with you. And while you're an expert at your business, I can bring to you value in terms of what we are an expert at in my business, right? So the conversations and the definitions of sales have certainly changed. And the trigger to this is kind of many of those things that are happening around us, right? We are all talking about the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Interestingly, just a few weeks ago, we were having this conversation to say Industrial Revolution 1.0 gave us a middle class. Because earlier there were the nobles and the peasants, and then we realized that there were people, the aspirational middle class. What is Industrial Revolution 4.0 going to give us? Maybe a useless class. I'm sorry for using that word, but just that there are a lot of skills and a lot of stuff that we did over the years, which is completely changing today because of the disruption that's happening in our marketplace. A lot of the tasks that we needed people to do are now taken over by our robotics or IoT or AI and machine learning. And that disruption is changing the way you and I engage today, right? Means this conversation today as well is an example of how our worlds are changing. Um, I don't know many of you who may be seeing this video, and you may have seen me for the first ever time, yet we are having this conversation and hoping to bring value to each other's worlds, right? So, in the marketplace disruption, we're seeing the digital world change the way we look at our businesses today. The SaaS model, the pay as you go model, the Uber model, and I think there are some more models to come in the future. The market networks and how we can leverage them are our business models of the future. The other thing we're seeing big time change is urbanization. I live in India, an emerging economy, and we've seen this change the way our complete economics works, right? With the mobile penetration going into the rural, people having the information available at the click of a button. The whole demographic of the kind of customers we used to sell to is changing. And we still have people moving to urban locations. They say that there is one new Chicago created every year, literally, by people moving from the non-urban locations to urban locations. And that's really going to change a lot of dynamics in the marketplaces we sell to. While on one hand we're seeing this happen, the other hand we also have the organizations like Amazon and Walmart and the others coming there and actually changing the whole conversation around verticals that we had. Earlier used to say, oh, I'm from the banking financial services vertical, or I'm in the healthcare vertical. And we've realized now it's becoming health tech and fintech, and the boundaries of these are blurring a lot, which is putting a lot of pressure on our businesses today. And so if you work for an organization and you see that the strategy changes almost every 18 months, new leadership comes up with new ways of doing things, new pricing models and new business models, believe me, this is here to stay. Because in this volatile environment, we're still trying to figure out what's going to work and stick with us in the future, right? And while this is happening at one end, the other end is the whole buyer dynamics that's changing. I still remember the start of my career selling electronic typewriters. The customer used to wait to meet with us because of that brochure that we carried with us, which had information, which he could not access till he met with a seller. Flip it to today, your customer knows more about your product, service, and solution than even you do sometimes. And in that age of information being available, what is the value a seller is going to bring is not just a conduit of information anymore, right? And that's changing the way buyers make buying decisions. Our CSO Insights study, CSO Insights is our research arm at the Miller Group. And every year we churn out a lot of data and study around what's happening in the world of sales best practices. And about a year and a half ago, we released our study, which spoke about how more and more people are getting involved in the buying decisions to be made. More process, more formal process, if I can call it that. And also technology. If you ever heard or experienced e-bidding, you know what I'm talking about. More and more organizations are looking at vendor consolidation. And on the other hand, in the B2C world, we are all now working on the e-commerce platforms. So all this is making organizations really look at how do we sell? And is sales just about me getting a product to you? Or is it become more about customer engagement? Is it more about gaining mind share? And I think that's where we are headed out to. So what should then our conversations be about? What should we be talking to our customers then? Let's look at it from two aspects. One, around what are the conversations, and then secondly, we'll talk about how should we be doing that. So if you were given a script that you were to follow when you went to meet with a client, believe me, that's going to go away very, very soon. The scripted elevator pitches are a thing of the past. Think about it. Would you like someone to give you a scripted pitch of what we sell to people like you? Not really. We're all looking at individualization. And that's why we're saying if, as a seller, you did a tedium task, picked up a script, wrote it, and just went and did verbal diarrhea to your customer, tomorrow a bot on the website can be doing that. We don't need that in sales anymore. And in fact, that's one of the reasons a lot of our what we traditionally called prospecting or cold calling has changed. Now, who looks at that scripted emailer that comes to my mailbox anymore? I don't. And I don't know about you, but a lot of the clients I meet say exactly the same thing to me. So then what would be your value? I think the value would lie in building ingenuity in our conversations. How do we understand each other's world? How do we build a pattern around our conversation? How do we bring more to the table than each of us individually knew? And that will become a critical skill of a salesperson. We've tried this. We work on this very actively when we do our programs in the Miller Hyman world. We talk about something called the valid business reason. And that valid business reason is a unique value proposition that I create for each buying influence by understanding what he or she wants to fix, accomplish, or avoid in their world. And to me, that's the ingenuity of conversations we should all be aspiring to have with our clients. And if we get good at that, believe me, we'll always have a job. No bot's going to take that away, because that's not a linear script I can program for a machine to run for me. This is where I need the human touch, right? I need someone like you and me to build that conversation. Even though we'll carry notes with us, like I do today, but we're going to bring in more stories, bring in more humanizing elements to that. And I think those will become important. So, what is it that we should be talking about to our clients? Well, I think what we should be doing to bring more value to each of the conversations is to bring a perspective in the conversation. What we mean by a perspective is a new insight, a new way of looking at things that I possibly already knew somewhere, but I didn't deem them to be important. Four areas that I use and we find bring value when you're looking at constructing your perspectives are that in your customer conversation, are you talking about an unanticipated solution? Are you helping the customer understand an unrecognized need or an unseen opportunity? Or are you even becoming a broker of capabilities? Is there something they need that I could refer them to someone to get? Because that's also bringing more perspective to the conversations. What that means then? It means you need to know your business and your marketplace inside out. Also, you need to know your customer's business. In this world of big data, you can't go and ask the customer questions around, so what do you do? How do you do this? Well, you should have figured that out before you even go there. And the customer is not patient anymore to answer those questions for you. In fact, we just released our buyer preference study. And if you'd like to know more about that, send me a message on LinkedIn and I'll try and get you a copy of that buyer preference study. We've kind of uncovered what we call an apathy loop, where the buyer is saying that I don't find the sellers exceed expectations when they meet with me, because of which I actually do not think that a seller can solve a business problem for me. Because of which, I do not engage with a seller till I've identified my need and also have constructed some kind of a solution framework. And then I find not much difference between the vendors. And the reason we are saying it's an apathy loop is because if you think of it from a seller's perspective, you'd say, if you don't let me work with you in defining a solution, how am I going to be different than the other, right? Uh, then what should we do to break this apathy loop? Well, one thing you can do to break the apathy loop is have proactive customer engagement. Not just go there when there's a deal on the table, but go there when there is no deal on the table. Understand their business and try and find out, what are you doing today? What are some of the things that are important for you? What are your business imperatives? And are there synergies where you and I can create some mutual value in our conversations? That's what I mean by ingenuity. Um, that's what we should be doing. And if I were to look at the element of how we should be doing it, I think few things that are becoming very, very critical. First element is doing your research. You need to invest time in doing research in about your client's world, what's happening there, what are the jargons they use, how do they make money, what's their customer saying to them, what are they struggling with, what are they excited about, right? And that research is becoming critical. The second thing, which is possibly something many of us as sellers never did in the past, is that whole thing about shooting from the hip. I'll go there and I'll you know have weave some magic and they will listen to me. Doesn't work. Preparation works. Have you structured your conversation? Do you know what you're going to say? Do you know what you're going to ask? Are you willing to listen to them in that conversation rather than thinking about what's the next thing you need to say? Which is why preparation becomes very, very critical. And the third element then is, what's the platform you're going to use to communicate? In this world of digital and technology, you have many platforms available. I could do a video conversation. I could do a Skype. I could do a web meeting. I could send you something on an email. I could send you something on a message on your mobile. I could send you something on a point drive on LinkedIn. I could just meet with you. I could have a conversation with you on the phone. When do I use what platform? And I think this needs a strategy as well. One thing I've realized in my experience, never send a proposal in an email because it doesn't work. It's a single dimensional view. People just will read what they want to read. So ensure you've got a meeting set up. You're having a conversation around it when you're going to discuss your proposal and your solution. While technology is ensuring that our worlds are getting smaller, I could be speaking to you across the globe right now. I think what technology is also doing is it's giving us an alternative to face-to-face conversations. And there is still value in face-to-face conversation. There is still value in meeting with you, seeing how you respond to what I just said, and getting a sense of what should I be saying next. And that piece is becoming even more important in this world of technology. So don't just rush in and don't just worry about what am I going to say, but think about what is happening in their world. Put a structure around your preparation and then choose the medium you need to communicate when you think about communicating with your clients. Believe me, like you, there are multiple people reaching out to each of those buyers today. If you want to stand out, you have to look at new ways of engaging with the customer to gain their mind share. Create an experience that will make them remember you, even if they don't buy from you today. And believe me, they will find a reason to come back and buy from you tomorrow if that experience was good. So I do hope that you got some value out of this quick few minutes we've had together. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you would have or queries you would have for me. Look forward to connecting with you on other formats such as LinkedIn and Twitter, and keeping our conversation going, because as a community, as we share best practices, we all win more. So look forward to hearing from you, and I do hope you found some value in this conversation. Thank you so much for your time.